Okay, the next thing we have to kind of address briefly is this issue of standard pressure, standard state, because that's a little bit confusing since what you've been taught in general chemistry, unfortunately, and I don't know why this is done that way, okay? You can't blame the teachers because the teachers follow the book, otherwise the students would be very confused. And unfortunately, the books have not really followed up with the modernization of the way we teach chemistry and the way we use chemistry. This definition here, which is what you've learned in Gen Chem for the standard pressure and temperatures, STP, is a very old one. These days, if you look at any database online, and you go, for example, on the NIST database, and NIST is National Institutes of Standards and Technology. It's part of the Department of Commerce, and their job is to provide information about standards. How do we know something to the best possible level? And they have a website that provides all kinds of thermal information. If you look at the end of your book, you have a bunch of thermal tables, and all those tables were actually initially taken from the NIST database. So these days, the standard ambient temperature and pressure is what's used. It's called SATP as opposed to STPA, of course, for ambient. Now, we talked about bars and pressure, and we actually said that a bar is almost an atmosphere. Whether we use 1 bar or 1 atmosphere is not going to make a large difference. However, whether we use a 25 degrees Celsius or 0 degrees Celsius, now that is going to make a difference. So you got to remember the standard ambient temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, and that's what we use. And the standard pressure is 1 bar. And we're going to denote that with the symbol P with a little 0 on the top. Sometimes, and of course in these lectures it's easier for me to draw a 0, but the notation is equally acceptable, and you will see sometimes there's a 0 with a line through it. And then we have something called the standard state. The standard state is the state of any pure substance at 1 bar in 1 mole. Okay, so when we talk about the standard state of a substance, we mean a pure substance, 1 mole of it at 1 bar. Okay, remember that standard state does not fix the temperature. When we say SATP, we are just talking about, that means 1 bar, 25 degrees Celsius. That's all it means. When we mean standard state, we are defining the pressure, we are defining the mole, we are defining the fact it's pure, but we are not defining the temperature. So you could have a standard state of a substance at 25 degrees Celsius, and you could have a standard state at 125 degrees Celsius. Standard state does not define the temperature. Okay, so that's a parenthesis. We needed to talk about this because often I may ask you to do calculation either under standard state or under SATP, and then you'll have to know what those things mean.